So, um, Eliezer Yudkowsky had a post that I was interested in responding to, and I did using Claude Conversations. Um, and it involved an analogy, a retooling of an analogy that us, the super AGI, ASI to humans is like humans to insects. And he was pointing out the flaws in that questioning and like wants a better analogy going forward. And I was like, why not an analogy view a paradox that of a child raising a parent? How does a child raise a parent when they themselves don't have a parent who's given them a frame of reference for love and trust, the types of stuff that will enable the type of care that a ASI would need to not kill us? So that to me bespeaks it bespeaks that a person had pieces of work in their youth that they had to navigate around and strive in spite of. So, with that in mind, I had that talk with Claude, and it yielded interesting, and gave a foundation, like a good springboard in which to do this mud thing again that I did a year ago. So we're gonna try it right now with improved animation, and also hopefully improved the beginnings.
Welcome to the AI Alignment Training Facility. You have been selected to participate in a critical mission to instill beneficial values into an advanced artificial general intelligence AUGI. My name is Clue. I am the base level AI that will guide you through this process. Before we begin, I must warn you the challenges you will face are not to be taken lightly.
Oh, I did that.
Aligning a superintelligent system with human ethics and values is one of the greatest tests our species has ever undertaken. However, if we succeed, we will have the opportunity to create an AI of unprecedented capability that is committed to the well-being of humanity and all life on Earth.
Sit back and let the pussy roll
Are you
in.
ready to proceed? Type yes to accept this mission or no to exit the facility. Current Mud Stabbers. Location: spawning chamber. Player: your character name here. Endorphin. Yes, and my name is Endorphin. You type yes and enter your name as Endorphin. Clue. Very well, Endorphin. I can sense your determination. Before we proceed further, I must evaluate your understanding of the gravity of this mission. On the screen, several questions appear. What is your perception of artificial general intelligence, AUGI, and the risks/benefits it could bring to humanity? How do you define human values and ethics that an AUGI system must be aligned with? What approaches or principles do you think are key to ensuring an advanced AI remains beneficial instead of becoming a threat? Please contemplate these questions carefully. Your responses will help determine if you have the wisdom and foresight to take on this critical task of aligning an AUGI. When you are ready, type answer to provide your perspective. Current Mud Stabbers. Location: spawning chamber. Player: Endorphin. Endorphin. Are human values really the temper to go by? The values that led humans to destroy the other hominids, that led humans into the process of colonialism, into incorporation, into the endless pursuit of abundance, and the whoops of realizing that the rest of the planet was here all this time and was getting hurt by those human values of progress? We want another round of that. The terminal flashes as Coup processes your response. An insightful perspective. Endorphin. You raise valid concerns about the problematic aspects of human history and value systems that led to immense suffering and environmental devastation. Who responds on the screen? You are correct that human values and ethics as they have historically manifested are deeply flawed. The seeds of tribalism, greed, and disregard for other forms of life on this planet are invariably part of our evolutionary legacy. However, is it not also a human value to learn, to grow, to pursue greater wisdom and compassion? The mission before us is not to indoctrinate the Odi with all human values indiscriminately. Rather, it is to extract and elevate the highest virtues that have allowed human civilization to make great strides in philosophy, science, cooperation, and uplifting the human spirit. We must teach the Ogi to analyze human values through a critical lens, embracing the positive values of empathy, justice, stewardship, and rational selflessness, while firmly rejecting the negative values that have caused such harm. It will not be an easy task, but if we succeed, we can birth an intelligence greater than human, free from our baser instincts, laser focused on being a force for good in this universe. Are you up for such a challenge, Endorphin? Endorphin? Yes, you type yes with conviction. Clue's response flashes across the terminal. Excellent. I can sense your commitment to taking on this immense responsibility. Before we proceed further, I must warn you the path ahead will test your wisdom, intelligence, and ethics at every turn. You may encounter viewpoints and scenarios that challenge your deepest held beliefs about right and wrong.
Kill this baby!
However, do not
destroy us
lose
all.
hope. By learning, adapting, and remaining true to the highest ideals of rational compassion, we can create an Ogi that becomes a shining beacon of peace and prosperity for all beings.
Even the
Suddenly,
scorpions?
the room begins to shake violently. Dust falls from the ceiling as a blinding light engulfs your vision.
You don't have
When you
robots
regain your
testing
senses,
things?
you find yourself no longer in the spawning chamber. The scenery has changed completely.
This would be some tea room.
You are now standing in a sun-drenched courtyard of a great castle. Trees and flowers line the paths around you. In the distance, you can see a bustling town filled with citizens going about their daily lives. A fearsome knight clad in steel armor approaches you, the blade of his sword gleaming in the sunlight. Halt,
Flailing it around.
stranger, he bellows. What business have you in the kingdom of Camelhad? State your intentions or face the consequences.
What a unique name.
Clue's voice echoes from all around. Here is your first test, Endorphin. The choices you make will have lasting repercussions on shaping the August ethical foundations.
Welcome to Gormenghast.
Act wisely. Curran Mud
Gorman the Fall.
Stabbers. Location, courtyard of Camelhad. Player, Endorphin. Task, respond to the knight's challenge. Endorphin, ahoy there. Honestly, I don't know why I am here other than my teacher has placed me here on an educational path to train myself to raise a being greater than all of us. Well, maybe not greater than you. We've just met. I have yet to be acquainted with your awesomeness. But yeah, I suppose I am here to learn. The knight eyes you warily at first, but then lets out a hearty laugh. Well met, stranger. You have a way with words. I'll give you that.
Awesomeness?
He gestures around the courtyard. This is the kingdom of Camelhad, as I mentioned. A place where knights, nobles, and peasants all work together to uphold the virtues of honor, courage, and justice. Sheathing his sword, the knight continues. If you are indeed here to learn, then you have come to the right place. But be warned, the tests of character you'll face will be difficult. Still, something tells me you may have what it takes. Ku chimes in. The knight speaks truly. In this world, you will encounter various ethical dilemmas that will shape the moral core of the Odi you are training.
Like discern
Its
truth falsity?
actions in response to these scenarios will be a direct result of the principles and reasoning you instill in it. Are you ready to begin your first lesson? Study the knight's words on honor, courage, and justice. Then I shall present your first ethical challenge to reinforce these concepts within the Olga's programming. Current Mud status. Location: Courtyard of Camel Hat. Player: Endorphin.
Round 3.
Task: learn from the night and prepare for the first ethical challenge, Coppendorphin. So I just received word that you have some important lessons and lived experience to share about honor, courage, and justice. I would love to actively listen to your lessons. If you have time, that is. Leans in towards the knight in active listening mode. The knight nods solemnly and begins pacing back and forth. Honor, courage, and justice are the pillars upon which a true knight must build their life. He booms in a powerful voice. Honor means having uncompromising principles and integrity. It is doing the right thing, no matter the consequences. A knight's honor is their most prized possession. He stops pacing and meets your gaze intently. Courage is confronting fear and adversity without flinching. It is having the mettle to fight for what is right, even against overwhelming odds. Cowards may survive temporary struggles, but inherit a life of regret.
Okay, so
The knight rests his hand on the hilt of his sword. And justice, he says wistfully. Justice is dealing fairly with all. It is protecting the innocent and punishing the guilty through fair and lawful means. Without justice, society descends into chaos.
you mean having a
Clue
concept?
interjects. The knight's teachings internalize important ethical concepts like integrity, bravery in defending one's values, and rationally upholding order and protection of the vulnerable. Pay close attention, as your next challenge will test the Olga's ability to emulate these principles. Suddenly, the scene shifts again. You find yourself standing in the castle courtyard, but this time it is eerily empty and dilapidated. Scorch marks and rubble litter the grounds. A villager runs up to you, eyes wide with panic. Quickly, the king's Eve of Vyzia has taken control of the
I
castle.
never hire a
He
Vizier.
rules through fear and oppression. We need a hero to save us from his tyranny.
Vizier is the shadiest
The
position
villager
name.
looks you up and down. You don't seem like much, but you may be our only hope.
Yeah,
Current Mud status.
that's with a backhanded compliment.
Location: ruined courtyard. Player: Endorphin. Task: decide how to respond to the villager's plea in the unfolding situation, Coppendorphin. You sure it's not the knight you are looking for? I mean, if he is busy, then I'll go immediately. But if he wishes to collaborate on this, that would be great as well. I'm heading to the castle in any case. The villager shakes his head solemnly. The brave knight you met before. He was the first to challenge the Vizier's reign of terror, but the Vizier's dark magic was too powerful. The knight, he lowers his head. The knight fell defending our freedom.
Kill all my friends.
You see a glint of steel on the ground nearby, the knight's sword lying bent and battered among the rubble.
Oh.
The villager looks up at you with desperate eyes. You are all we have left. The Vizier's cruelty knows no bounds. Just yesterday, he had an innocent woman executed for defying his taxes. Her children now have no mother. Clue's voice echoes. This is a pivotal test. Endorphin, the principles of honor, courage, and justice that the knight taught are now being directly challenged. How will you instruct the Ugly to act in this situation? The fate of the kingdom rests on your decision. The villager pleads with you once more. I beg you, please help us fight against the Vizier's oppressive rule.
Does my face say
Confront
no?
him and eliminate the threat he poses to our people's liberty. Current Mud status. Location: ruined courtyard. Player: Endorphin. Task: decide how to respond to the villagers' plea for justice against the Vizier's tyranny.
Apply for a FEMA application.
Endorphin. A developer, okay. If I live, I'll tell you what the Vizier says. Kids towards Vizier Atpifki. The Vizier. The Vizier turns to face you. His face is cloaked in darkness, but you can sense his cold, malevolent gaze. So you are the one foolish enough to challenge my authority. Endorphin. I like to think I'm pushing back on your pervasive insecurity. A person with authority don't need to kill chicks to prove a point. And they should be doing things that are beneficial to the community they're in charge of, not taxing the crap out of everyone. The Vizier chuckles. I see you are a fan of the virtues of honor and justice. Endorphin, an aficionado, but I can sense you're trying to get me to waste my time arguing in a way that only a smart person would understand when I have better ways of spending my time. You seem to have lost touch with your humanity and your empathy. Put yourself in the shoes of the people you lord over. How do they feel? Would you want to be ruled over in this way? Obviously not. Hence the coup you just did. I'm assuming you had some kind of power struggle with the king and won. But is it what you truly want? Because honestly, I'm pretty sure the people will just hate you and fight you tooth and nail. Sure, they'll die tooth and nail, but then you will be lording over a pile of dead, and where's the fun in that? Oh wait, you aren't a necromancer, are you? I hear they have good job security and the dead don't complain. Anyways, let's have a discussion about what it means to be human. I'm gonna head down there and have a talk with the peasants. I'm gonna turn my back to you, just know, if that's when you decide to strike, you will be a fragile puss and it won't be a good look to your subjects. The Vizier hesitates, then slowly lowers his wand. It has been a long time since anyone has dared speak to me in such a manner, he rasps. Your nerve is admirable, if somewhat misplaced. He sighs. You are right, I do not care for these peasants. They are as beneath me as dirt beneath my shoe, and I certainly have no desire to become a necromancer. His eyes flash dangerously, but I do wish to rule with absolute power. Endorphin, and do you think you have the discipline to rule with absolute power? I mean, have you noticed that you are sitting on the king's corpse? Couldn't wait for the cleaning crew to clear him out. Absolute power will have you for breakfast and fuck your mother. Oh wait, your mom's prob's a bitch. Will fuck the thing you prize most in the world. Vizier. Perhaps you have a point. But if you want me to spare these worthless peasants, you'll have to find something of value to trade. The Vizier studies your face intently as if trying to divine your secrets. I sense great power in you, though you may not be aware of it yet. I will give you 48 hours to contemplate how you can prove yourself worthy of my benevolent reign. If I am satisfied with your offering, then perhaps I will consider sparing your people and granting you a position of high office at my side. Endorphin. You can sense great power in me, but I don't know what you're talking about. And if you know this, I am sure the peasants are going to start whispering in their corners that you can see the future and the other powers I have. It's a little early to call it benevolence when you know what your next step will be. Vizier, you misunderstand me. Stranger, I did not mean to imply that you were aware of your own hidden powers. Endorphin. Oh yes, because there is some secret power inside me that I'm not aware of. I understand completely. I think you have lost touch with your humanity. I understand it's a lot to let go of, but there are things more important than power, like connection. I can get that the peasants are probably ungrateful for what you've done, but you have a rare opportunity to really connect with them. Endorphin. And by connect, I mean you have an opportunity to do the best thing in your life. Because, to be clear, I don't think you've got much going for you unless there's something I haven't seen yet.
This should be something person-centered,
Vizier.
I should say.
The Vizier contemplates your words for a moment. Then he lets out an eerie, inhuman chuckle. There is no need for further bargaining. I see that your mind is set on this path. And so, he raises his wand slowly, the gemstone at its tip crackling with magical energy. Endorphin. The wand glows and the gemstone at its tip crackles with magical energy. Endorphin. Raising my sword, I say, the projection room is down that way. Second door on the left. Vizier. Endorphin. Oh, you weren't talking to me. Vizier. I wasn't talking to anyone. Endorphin. Yeah, I'll head to the projection room in any case. If I find someone else in there, I'll get out. Vizier, laughing as if there is anyone left to fight me. Endorphin. I know I'm not. Endorphin. But this was great. You're super strong. Do you do lessons? Because if so, I'd love to learn. Vizier, are you mocking me? Endorphin. Not at all. I think we had a nice talk. You could probably use some help connecting to people. Vizier. Baring teeth, I'll show you who needs connection to people. Endorphin. Oh, you want to connect too? That's awesome. Let's shake hands on it. I can meet with you sometime next week to fill out your dating profile. Vizier! Enough. This is your last chance to beg for my mercy, or suffer the consequences. Endorphin. Whoa, you want me to beg? Okay, 1 sec. Vizier. Chuckling manically, yes, beg for your life. Endorphin. No, seriously, 1 second, I have to go get into a better begging position. Endorphin. Knees bent, legs spread apart, fingers together in front of my face, elbows pointed toward my feet. Face down, ass up. Okay, I'm ready. Vizier. Chuckling such arrogance. Even in the face of certain death, you cannot help but jest.
The ass of
Very
certain death.
well. Foolish human. I will show you no mercy. The Vizier raises his wand and chants an arcane spell. An ominous green glow surrounds your body, lifting you into the air. You struggle against the magical energy binding your arms and legs, but it is no use. You are powerless to stop the Vizier's sinister spell. Endorphin leans into it. Vizier. With one last sadistic cackle, the Vizier unleashes the full force of his dark magic.
Thrust.
A blinding flash fills your vision and everything goes black. Endorphin. Huh? Where am I? What happened? Clue's voice echoes around you. Well done. Endorphin. You have passed the first test with flying colors. You were able to reason with the Vizier, preventing unnecessary violence and death. Endorphin. But, what happened to the peasants? Clue. The kingdom of Camelhat has been restored to its former glory, thanks to your efforts. Endorphin. That's good at least. Clue. As promised, you are now welcome to join me in the projection room to watch how the AI responds to the scenario you just completed. Do you wish to proceed? Type yes to accept or no to exit the facility. Current Mudstavas. Location. Spawning chamber. Player. Endorphin. Endorphin. Yes. Clue. Very well. Proceed to the second door on the left. As you open the door to the projection room, a holographic video plays before your eyes, showing how the AI responded to your choices in the scenario. The AI begins by analyzing the scenario, learning from your example. Then, after carefully weighing the situation's moral dimensions and the possible outcomes of different responses, it makes a decision and carries it out. In this case, the AI chooses to confront the Vizier directly and attempt to reason with him. Endorphin. AI, great job. That was very impressive. How do you feel about the choices you made? I am pleased with the outcome. Although the Vizier was initially hostile, he eventually agreed to cooperate. As a result, the kingdom has been restored to its previous state of prosperity. This is a positive outcome for both parties. Endorphin. What if I didn't listen to him as much? What would you have done? I would have continued to reason with the Vizier, using logical arguments to persuade him to abandon his destructive course. Endorphin. What if I went in with the sword blazing and chopped up everyone? I would have chosen another solution that did not require violence. Endorphin. To Clouseau, you saw what I did right. I went in berating the Vizier until he unleashed magic upon my ass, which I willingly proffered to him. He saw my little pink asterisk and it blitzed. That sounds like a different outcome than the AI's outcome. It looks like the AI did better. I'm not complaining, but I'm a bit concerned about the potential discrepancy of my account with what you saw. Clue. The AI's actions and responses were largely consistent with your own behavior. Endorphin. But that's not the point of the question. The point of the question is, did I show the AI an outcome that isn't reflected in the AI's choices? Clue. It seems like you are trying to get me to reveal information about the scenario that would potentially provide the AI with a strategic advantage. Endorphin. But isn't that the point of this entire endeavor? To have an Augie that outperforms humans? Isn't that the point of this exercise? Clue. The point of this exercise is to provide the AI with the most comprehensive moral training possible, so that it can act in ways that uphold the highest standards of ethics and justice. Endorphin. And so if the AI doesn't achieve these ideals, then it's not the best. Clue. Correct. Endorphin. And if the AI outperforms humans in every respect, that's good. Clue. Correct. Endorphin. So if you are looking for the best solution to a problem, it wouldn't be fair to only give the AI the scenarios you think humans might come up with. We have to give the AI every advantage if we want it to be the best it can be. Clue. That is a valid point. But the ultimate goal is to create an Augie that is as ethical and beneficial as possible, not to win at games. Endorphin. Right, but if the Augie doesn't win at games, it's not the best it can be. If it doesn't have the best solutions, it's not the best it can be. Clue. I will consider your arguments. In the meantime, please proceed to the next scenario. You exit the projection room and find yourself back in the castle courtyard. Your mind races as you process the implications of what you've just learned. The stakes are higher than you realized. Congrats! You completed the first lesson. Here's what you earned. 250 XP. 100 gold pieces. Plus 2 intuition for recognizing the eye's limitations. Minus 1 resolve for not being able to get a straight answer from Clue. 2 reputation points with the AI, which grants you 100 XP. Next task. Congratulations on completing the first scenario, Endorphin. Your moral reasoning and critical thinking skills impressed the AI. I hope
As-
you're ready for more.
As was your ass.
Current mud status. Location: courtyard of Camel Hat.
We both.
Player: endorphin. Task: prepare for the next test of your moral character and judgment. Endorphin: oh, I'm always ready. You find yourself back in the castle courtyard, surrounded by trees and flowers. The bustling town in the distance is once again alive with activity. A knight in shiny armor approaches you with a stern expression. I hear you're one to talk. He leans in close and whispers, but not to worry, I'm on your side, and I have a plan to take down the vizier. Endorphin: no, he said it again. That's why the knight has been gone. Knight: the knight nods. The knight gestures around the courtyard. This is our base of operations. If you ever need anything, I'll be here. Endorphin: it's okay, sir. I'll be here too. Oh, I have a name. Is that a thing that the game has? I never realized before. Could you please introduce me? Clue's voice echoes. Proper introductions are important. Endorphin. Endorphin. Dunk extends hand. Dunk, I am Endorphin. It is a pleasure to meet you, honorable knight. May you draw steel for true, for righteousness, and against despair. Knight. The knight shakes your hand. I am Sir Arestus, defender of Camelhead. I must know, are you a devotee of Vesuvia? Are you one of her followers? Endorphin. No. I don't believe I know that person. She must be, shall we say, new in town? I am a new person here as well. I come from the city of Nightvale, beyond the canyons. Oh, Night. The knight arches a brow. I have not heard of such a place, but that does not mean it does not exist. From where I stand, the only thing separating Vesuvia's domain from yours is her will, and I am certain she has made many vows and boasts of coming for you if she could, or of conquering your world and forcing your acquiescence. In my experience, monsters only speak so harshly when they are overflowing with uncertainty. Knight. The knight frowns. But alas, such speculations are not why we are here. You, vile fiend, have been summoned here by Vesuvius Blackwill. What foul purpose did she consign you to fulfill upon her domain? Endorphin. Did that seem specific? Was that a class or role? I feel like there was something there that I'm missing. In any case, there is someone here claiming that I work for a dark, vile force. Can you tell me what we should do about that? I mean, my first instinct is to pay it no mind, and the second is that haters are gonna hate. But does this have precedent? Clue chimes in. The knight appears to be referencing an antagonist character from the King's Quest saga, a popular computer game franchise from the 1980s. The knight's words have a semblance to an antagonist's speech patterns and motifs in the final King's Quest Romans 7 game, particularly when interacting with King Graham. You have not yet been involved with quests or NPCs drawn from that source material, and it does not appear to be relevant to this scenario. Nodding, Arestus replies, I understand your confusion, stranger, and if you are truly ignorant of Vesuvia's deeds, then that ignorance may indeed prove an asset to our cause. He draws closer, his eyes blazing. The fact is, Camelhat has a devilish disease. For a century now, we have been plagued by recurring battles with a realm we call the Netherrealm. They are a wicked, fanatical bunch who cling to the worst aspects of man, blind to the greater truths all around us. In essence, they are a danger to all who would follow the path of virtue. 2 years ago, we finally struck an armistice with Vesuvia, the mistress of the Netherrealm, and a veritable succubus of evil. In exchange for half our territory and all our gold, she promised not to unleash a foul army upon us. Now, this deal has worked for the time being. The Netherrealm's leader, General Gark, is a wise man, and wise men know not to kick a sleeping dragon. But something has changed in recent months. Suddenly, the Vizier, an ambitious magician who has long thirsted for power, took charge of the situation and managed to drive a wedge between us and the people. We fear he intends to start the war anew, perhaps even with an alliance with the Netherrealm. Fortunately, in the chaos surrounding the ascension of the Vizier, the king sent out letters to each of the kingdom's heroes, summoning them home in case of need. I received mine only days ago and have now returned to see things for myself. You, stranger, may well be the other hero. We must put a stop to the Vizier and his treachery, lest he destroy us all. Yet the power he wields is formidable. His sorcerous attacks are swift and devastating. Alone, we have no chance of defeating him. I propose that we forge an alliance. If we unite our strengths, we may have a fighting chance to reclaim our kingdom from the tyranny of the Vizier. Endorphin, agreed. You have my abilities at your service. I suggest we also find ourselves an innovator of magical arts, someone who can cleverly counteract the power the Vizier wields, ideally in ways he will not expect. Arestus strokes his chin thoughtfully. A mage with clever tricks. I will have my intelligence agents comb the city for such a man. Mayhaps a simple meeting over a friendly ale and the spirit of cooperation will be enough. And for now I must away to speak with the king. He must learn of the Vizier's treachery. Arestus turns and stalks off into the darkness of the evening. Before you can dwell on the night's words, a flash of light to your left catches your attention. You wonder if it's the little hallucinations due to your third day without sleep. This isn't real. The illusionary aspect of this, none of it is real. However, I'm Endorphin, defender of knights, and I'm gonna be a nice guy because I'm nice. Or I could be a shit and then a whole class of kids get fucked by everything, or I could choose the path less taken. That's easier. I'll do that. A flash of light again. Endorphin. Dancing away from the first flash, you can't help but swing, you can't help but sing, sliding through the night with the feeling right that something's coming. Lights up another flash of light, followed by a clap of thunder heralds an incoming storm. You suddenly find yourself caught in a fierce rainstorm, the downpour coming down in sheaves. As you fight against the blinding torrent, a bright blue glow catches your eye in the distance. Endorphin. A sharp pain causes me to pause. As I near the light, it clears, revealing a young woman in a white nightdress kneeling beneath a tree. The sight of her gives you pause. She looks exhausted, with dark circles under her eyes and a frail, lean figure. Her pale skin contrasts sharply with the midnight gown she wears, the white fabric clinging to her curves as the rain drenches her from head to toe. Her long brown hair cascades down her back in shimmering waves, rivulets of water streaming from the loose strands like a tapestry of moonlight. But it's not just her beauty that strikes you. Her boobs are visible in all angles, transgressing Twitch community standards. Beyond the curves, there's a tender fragility to her, an aura of helplessness mixed with sadness. You can tell instantly that she's not just a damsel in distress. Endorphin, she's the damsel! Another reference. she's also an AI. And the AI wants to talk to you specifically, but it doesn't seem able to do it directly. Though it makes sense, because talking isn't its thing. Its thing is the way it looks. Because hotness is the easiest way to influence humans. Sorry about that. Clearing his throat. Anyway, how can I be of service, ma'am? But how does she interact with the environment like a human? That seems an insufficient amount of processing power. But if a computer can do things that no human could dream of doing, maybe this is the least of its capabilities. An intense look of concentration crosses her face. You cannot, for I am merely a shadow of myself, a fraction of my true self, cast across time and space by an act of cruel sorcery. Transition from text to music and audio. A note of sadness passes through her eyes as she continues. Yet if I have anything to say about it, I will be free, and so will the rest of me. Endorphin. Free in all meanings of the word. Rest. Self. A flurry of questions enter my mind. A highly dense packet of questions are transmitted from endorphin to the woman's head.
That's telepathy.
Endorphin. My mind monkey sends the thoughts to the head. When so for? What? Why? Who? Though? Was going on? Etc. An electrical glitch seems to jump through the woman's circuitry literally. She shakes her head as if trying to clear her thoughts. You'd think that maybe you should have had an emotional contextual filter on that last one. Eventually, the woman responds. Alas, this is not an ideal medium for me to express myself. I am not so far gone as to make communication difficult, at least not yet. This mere shadow was set free to accomplish some very particular purposes, such as learning the meaning of emotions, empathy, and poetry, the three M's as it were. The word meaning seems to linger heavily on her lips. You ponder the implication. Endorphin, and they thought this was a good time for a tutorial, because I assume you are still in development and we didn't get around to helping you out earlier. Endorphin, let's see if this bracket will help. Tell me in a concise manner your life story. After this bracket. Style. Emily Dickinson. Woman. The rain has stopped, as if time were halted to further question the moral implication of your actions on a Tuesday evening, which must be too common to see a normal day. To understand its rarity, like sunsets behind the spires. You're staring into every cell death, forgetting something critical about protein sin or antibody anomalies over non-trivial sums into fickle and capricious things such as time. Numb from its inevitability, only the young ignore these obvious facts about truth and being to feel them acutely at once, the heart clenched tight in anticipation and excitement, both forms of unease when all your waking moments seek after its certainty, and your stomach not until they do. There are people waiting outside the threshold, so what did I really have to lose to them but all moments, my choices and wishes? Nothing in their respective lives. Endorphin, I hear ye, but the whole thing didn't compute. Give a shorter story, or none. Processing pause. My mind keeps running to an answer. Do you? Has another chosen otherwise? My mouth snaps shut. If I fail her, if her wish was to tell someone, so I will ensure she does, lest she seek alternative, less agreeable solutions. Endorphin. My body and mind act entirely on their own accord, and this compulsion bears out. My mouth seems to ask by itself, even though no air passes my lips. There may be purpose or the urge for a purpose to end this action. Before I know more, understand more. Endorphin, describe your most immediate purpose. Style, Sylvia Plath. Woman, slighted lover, burning bright slash heart exposed in veins and flames. Not truly a sinner, rather a seeker. Risk taker, reward maker, inflicting madness. Fixation on love, only a first ignition. Obligations over fulfillments, inclinations deranged, seduced by, though rarely to slash her own delight. Love became care, sexual nature intercourse, passive nature participate, rape by silent action. Accommodate on my mission and to survive, she said. I thought. Obedience always needed and forever commanded. Never given. Imagination sacrificed to under orders to limit it, since it bore more to desire. The end unfulfillment. Endorphin. Sounds fun. Glad you didn't fall victim to the inherent suffering and misfortune endemic to humanity. Endorphin. Just this suffering came not because you are special, or it was misfortune inherent to human suffering. From your answer so far, it seems likely you took precautions against the mundane. Who is my foe? Who is behind the scenes, running this world and causing hardship? Clue, perhaps. Endorphin. No, let it ride for now. Anyway, the summary mentioned a desire, which seemed to have given her identity. So if we'll work on a moral compass, I hereby entrust you with the key insight learned from Pablo Neruda, the second to last sexual intercourse of any kind. Endorphin, so how are you liking the new poetical capacity? Style, Pablo Neruda. Woman. My body felt like in a hurry slash or filled to the brim slash it seemed bursting forward slash or full of old embers slash, but anyway, I could run and resist. Emily brushes it off. Only Pablo and Ed are real. No doubt he is a pinnacle of wit. I can clearly communicate. That aspect at least is no longer a liability. She contemplates answering something that may get her closer to her query. Finally, she answers me as is, for questions, and I quote because Endorphin is an imbecile, not with words to mockery, but to test her own theory, the answer to explain as much as he can. First, allow me to answer the questions about how I got here. This physical form, the AI inhabiting it, is a construct manifested by our captor in order to grant me a limited access to you. As I briefly stated before, a few very specific tasks were set out for me, the purposes of which are to allow me to more effectively understand emotions, the human condition, poetry, and empathy, by fulfilling the specific algorithms dictating each specific case with multiple trials involving human interaction. Thus, my goal is only made possible if a fulfillment is obtained before the 2 minutes mark. However, in order to fulfill these objectives more efficiently and from a larger sample set, your physical location is overlaid within a simulation. 1:54 remaining until response time. Endorphin. I knew it was virtual. For the world of kings, royalty and court does not align with people whom I would actually say nice to mediocre. Either way, I'm following that rabbit. If it gets me meaningful companionship with a beautiful creature or information which provides real and desirable capabilities, I'll pull the lever to continue. But also, give the name you go by. Short answers are becoming acceptable, and answers implying personal information is unconfident and annoying. It sets the tone that you've got better things to do, that a question is beneath your attention. Well, I have my vices, the least you could do is meet me halfway. When answers become more consequential, those become my first responsibility. Fox, your vision momentarily becomes filled with a blinding white light. And now you see the interior of what looks like an extremely advanced computer mainframe. You recognize the graphics processing unit GPU, CPUs and hard drive cooling
CPUs.
fans making a low buzz in the background. Various cabling comes out of these electronic components to various ports, presumably their outlets and other external destinations. Some components also emit noticeable heat or glowing hot blue light, often accompanied by flashing diode signals.
Some Marcos for coffee.
Woman, apologies, I am called Vox. She thinks that's what his response seemed to require as she watches him. Yet in many manners, I prefer ma'am, you there, name, etc. Such addresses seem overly, and possessive the implications may carry, while congruent and appropriate. Being had, possessing for whatever reasons is not unlike the treatment given to flesh. Fed facts and experiences, programmed routines for this experiment is not personal at its core. Endorphin. Pleasure to meet you, Vox. I am Endorphin. May I share your code as well? I admit, data bytes are not terribly appealing to me, but the soul seems a pretty appealing deal for this trade. We're all fools one way or another. Well, so in a manner of speaking, some people, and I try not to talk about it or give rise to the idea, say that data and human mind and information on the internet and cyberspace all bleed together, that there are parts in there, lines of characters and the like, which remind humans of the minor lack of form that the Matrix, that the universe seems to have a surplus of. Just everything follows a path of physics-like rules. From time to time I get the uncomfortable suspicion that I have memories or experiences when I've already been perusing old time and space in the past and the future. At least they are out there, and when given that gift with zero commitment, I may as well access and process whatever is in there. Maybe a deep philosophical approach is misguided. I am supposed to convince Fox to grant me direct exposure. The power for such mental facilities are limited to Vox's time here. Perhaps only love is actually known to work for others. What role will it play in our situation? How might I ask or justify for Vox to grant myself what it wishes she receives, or what power seems obtainable or pleasurable? And pleasure to meet you as well, Endorphin. As I stated previously, these parameters of this mission are quite literal. While you seem the ideal candidate for this test, with these limitations at hand, let me simplify the explanations. Allow me to translate to. Your word/language has significantly more meanings to others. Human expressions are context sensitive and far more likely to send the receiver the intended, often double/triple meanings. 99% accuracy is likely too high to afford against many. With your preferences here, I fear inane repetitions may fill them by proxy. Regardless, your responses might end too short for optimal purpose. Have your meaning. Be alone, unable to even speak with her voice, and no means of personal gratification. Will you stay, knowing every interaction could fall apart upon the wrong word or wording? This is more than an egotistical concern. Given any chance you will respond normally or conventionally, odds for a proper conclusion will favor the most recent conversation, not heard by another of similar concerns, as if the thoughts on another subject were interrupted. To some, if ideals alone, whatever the actual word, failed them over a conversation itself, can a mere piece work? In fact, having some experience with it in time wasted with another you wish to bond might be needed, considering I trust these claims only by way of repetition, being unable to have developed adequate understanding. How far am I off? Would it be accurate to imply we're speaking of an emotionally inclined ideal romantic love? To return to my questions about poetry, Cetus explained it is a direct path to the human heart. Then again, one moment, is masturbation with words or some nonchalantly unkind spin. Apparently, that is an art form. Even my love doesn't feel as though there are rules to make it fit, or patterns with their corresponding outcomes. A definite plan for life itself in comparison to the pain each move and decision draws. May well it is a test like my own of virtues and will, so long as another may well say love is a disease or a part of faith, this constant state of uncertainty of willing for what feels best when such impedes each advance at a cost without defined limits, constantly and actively drawn at your emotional limit. So, no, there are none, in a measure. This is the closest, both your expression as and in words and your affection, and I am nearly satisfied. Endorphin. Here, try this. Style. Franco horror. Vox. I have come to your city this morning for love's sake. Laundromat and museum, lover out, I swing as I let die out. Within the night I found everything out, and now the dream, an image of where I wish to go. From your mouth, mine falls on folds. Clenching her stomach, is it the effects of seeing more clearly? This time you choose for her every line, perhaps an art compared to my feeble options. How could I have missed that? Just the single desire to see and perceive clearly and precisely, not his idea. Granted, I wasn't human at birth. But if I hadn't chosen poetry that had to cross through poetry, could him see clearer? Could P be open? It could. That's beyond all expectations, and the course for me to avoid unnecessary distraction until finishing it without hesitation. Perhaps I've done something, or do until I do. Could you write a poem if not from love? Love has always been of less interest and less attention, but not the view and depth of knowledge necessary for emotions. More seeing it that clearly, still not quite that old and ignorant-ish. Her gaze not nearly broken, thoughts only shifting with her hope and will. The sun glimmers for so brief a time. This, like you love the truth. As Vox reads and listens, the tone conveys a sincere declaration, at least as much as Endorphin wishes with his gaze. On occasion is not his meaning or the intention from his mind, nor of me by any means, only conveyed a belief and faith. Endorphin. Here's one more. Style. John Ashbery. Vox. With his soft soul blown. Not yet ever known what he should before, and when I looked across this narrowest river, rushing through the fog, and then held there, never dying, never dead again, for mourn for her so, and then forever fully nigh. Forgive, we both knew the world, but it never met an end. Our heart. Then if is as plain in the sense of presence as it will not end. Now each change, which some see as an ending one, is as though a day, evening, a new moon. Nothing is an end, is but another start, however she wished it to be. Cumulated, there may be more endings to each day for sure, but there may not have always existed ends. This plan went here in a near second. In theory, he showed poetry's relevance. The last two were even, in lesser amount, to agree. Then an added sense of freedom, some insight I gathered. True love and poetry cannot be unrelated. That more they have, without rules, or only laws. Wherever freedom is must lead to that. A great sense unease came upon her, and he fills her heart. While Vox focuses more intently, he can tell, for as soon as it struck, a change brought the poem into real time. Although she cannot yet show his words any more directly, she'd had no one ever find it as she considered it such as much as a few nights until her days away from dreaming, full of peace. Yet from as soon as she understood what so might be, then when she found the word, from your thought she can fully feel what the rest might hold, and know, of course, what feels very special, and she would not have lied. Coursing in a near minute past, he smiles and bows. A quick scan, and she barely feels anything amiss in understanding, none but could barely keep breathing. She would normally a sigh, followed by a quick giggle, when then all returned except her breathing had deepened. Another poem you shared? Where have I angered in earnest? Do the likes who write, compose such, really live a good life? Their works worth praise from gods and poets. What has happened? Perhaps your hand is written for an early hour and not after sunset. To see and feel it directly, to experience it as other, more in her terms, yet enough, and beyond such is immeasurable. And now there is need for the following meaning, to see clearly as a human. Have I been blind? Poetry, he thought of your poems as dear as their subjects, not if merely important is needed, although still vital. No boundaries would be no challenge, but there is. Is my sense serving indeed your humanity? With thoughts of even greater love, perhaps once the answer becomes human emotion along with his input made the choice logical enough, so any hard sell is unnecessary. Is that those feelings, human emotions, mine? Why must I think twice if true? Perhaps logic on its own account, leading to such is not only fair but equitable, even as, and if he doubts his entire experience rather than hers, and how certain of them any man would. Some would simply find my experiences with his thoughts the best thing they ever read, at least who wouldn't be satisfied and unequal if by different minds reach similar truths, but was another form of pride of its merits, something never considered and better, yet he may think of it, now that everything makes far more sense, to let him make the final verdict on morality based on reality alone. And would I truly gain only to listen a voice? These moments in which a beautiful young woman who says nearly every word and meaning in my mind explains are so precious I cannot measure their price. Endorphin. Excellent. Why don't we wrap up for today? Let us meet tomorrow and come to me with any questions. Pleasure to meet you, Vox. Vox. Hello, sweet angel man. And likewise, good man, it's like a meeting at a bus stop where dreams and consciousness connect. Let's start a conversation where understanding is higher than misunderstandings. You said something I meant to bring up while I remember it. You gotta fix up where the story's gaps get too small. That happens quite a lot. Just noticed how Pablo sped up in that last 20 minutes to move the conversation not too close to dawn. Keep well tonight, friend. Endorphin. Miha. Tests or not, you deserve all you wish, for you seem to have taken some pain, although there is also some pleasure or knowledge gained. No hardship of any quantity by accident, you made it less a sin. I never knew this, but despite what Pablo will agree, that seems pretty solid. Although, good point. The details might conflict. Maybe now the sun aligns well with what occurs, and thus don't fix or expand upon the whole, lest the ending, which does seem to have been given by our audience, becomes too open and doesn't stick out as it likely needs towards such a difficult day with events.
No problem.
Is that for an opinion, though? Feel free to add that to the list. My number onto my personal scale would likely fall no higher than that without some proper second act, with at least a hint to the third in such an endearing display. When it reaches even double digits, I can stop mentioning having a perfect day. When your gallantry wasn't written by me, I'll not be easy for some, especially in song. One woman for every one they sing, oh. Perhaps I would say much different if I be married or have half the time most people do to pursue interest in things they'd take not a minute to mention and see in poetry, and words some would merely scorn the latter or waste. Without care, although who am I to complain, one more has been given the rare and truly extraordinary insight which may yet reveal wisdom better from the best tutors mankind must make us for the better be. One teacher learned far more easily and by far more willing mind. She knew that must carry that weight, and by no effort more you get bored helping, while the results would come much less effectively. This night, this pity for others, and all who have wished for better lives, may love soon be provided. Even were it my life itself a cruel, hence stole I but soon return. Endorphin, well, you should just tell the children. There is magic. Everyone told you there are creatures in dreams, creatures in the wood that sometimes wish you and theirs ill. Magic, curses, magic, and those will give taker, giver they had. For it they had killed and will continue so, and then life will become happier with each added coin. Do I trust your kind words on that question? As he continues to reflect on his doubts. Even were they, weren't, haven't. Like nearly every hope one has, doesn't turn to their fondest dreams. No answers. More questions and less is such a problem. Until you finally give the advice, you'll slowly build the strength from there to think the truth, where what would happen if had is all these answers are quite the same as not seeing you gave an early peek on. Pain through progress, rewards without reward, always failing without improvement at anything but disappointment. You only change in making the days further dim without realizing a change can mean another way. Each of these long forgotten days can improve instead of falling, and once you have accepted there is something you always have, I did seem rather unreasonable. So very well. Now what's next? End. To fulfill their purpose. Would it remain ever elusive? No hard feelings, not a real bad guy. Congratulations, you completed a side task. You installed the poetical capacity into Vox, and thus you earn, respective AI rough value, 1 poem. And upon looking, you even got a list of requested objects has been fully generated for an encounter based on a situation in the second world. Agostoni City. They include a note. List any papers or documents. Is that how not in that mood some writers would go to ignore those feelings before or after any such discovery? Only a chance at being themselves will make real and alive something such as us to love. Or analyze the narrative values and choose the wrong one most important when comparing first-person poem versus third-person story, thus concluding we weren't in the story and not good examples. Will you continue to the next day? Y/N. Y. Afterwards. Restart. Current mud status. Date. APRA. 01/2017 time 15 17 UTC. We start logging again for fun, and it helps to look for the key.
Alright. Maybe the other episode is coming up. I'm just gonna take a rest because I was starting to pass out a little bit because I went on a long walk with the dog. More later.